What happens when a billionaire mocks a poor man's Jesus, then loses everything to the storm? His oil was useless, but a stranger in white appeared, and what happened next changed his heart and his life forever. The sun beats down on Pier 15 in Manila. Don Mateo stands tall on his ship, the Black Gold. He is worth billions of pesos and fears no one. Cameras flash as local officials clap for the tycoon. Nearby, Elias the mechanic kneels by the massive engine. He holds a small, weathered wooden cross in his hand. The old man whispers a prayer for the crew's safety. This is the first hook, a tiny cross against steel. Mateo lets out a loud, cruel, raspy laugh. Elias, that wood won't keep 40,000 tons afloat. I trust 15 million barrels of oil, not Jesus. Oil builds cathedrals. Prayers don't even buy diesel. The crowd chuckles, but a stranger watches them closely. This is the second hook, the eyes of a traveler. He wears a simple white shirt and dusty brown sandals. His face is sun-beaten, like a man from the provinces. This stranger quietly places his hand on the steel. Suddenly, the massive engine vibrates with a strange rhythm. Elias feels a sudden peace and hides his cross away. The pride of a man blinds his heart. Have you ever felt your faith was too small? The year was 1998. The Manila heat was heavy and thick. Mateo was not always a billionaire tycoon. He started with one rusted, leaking barge. He called the old boat the Lucky Star. But luck had nothing to do with it. He cheated on every single delivery. He bribed the port inspectors with gin. "Take the money and look away," Mateo said. He ignored the safety of his crew. The Blue Ledger was born that year. It was a cheap notebook back then, but every centavo was tracked like a god. For 26 years, his heart grew cold. He cut corners to build his mountain. He replaced his mother's prayers with numbers. The ledger became his only true Bible. By 2015, he was king. He didn't see people, only operating costs. "You are just a number," he told workers. He forgot the names of his brothers. He lived inside a fortress of gold. He believed no storm could touch him. One afternoon, a stranger visited his office. The man wore a simple white shirt. His skin was dark from the sun. He sat quietly on a wooden chair. "Your ledger is very full, Mateo," he said. Mateo looked up, his eyes narrowing. "Who let you in here?" Mateo shouted. "I'm just a traveler," the man replied. The stranger touched the blue ledger softly. A sudden chill filled the hot room. Mateo felt a strange weight in his chest. Soon, the weight of gold will feel like lead. If you believe that true wealth is found in a clean soul, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. The stranger looked into Mateo's eyes. There was no anger, only deep sadness. A house built on sand cannot stand. Mateo laughed and slammed the book shut. "My house is made of steel and oil. Go away with your poor man's talk." The stranger stood up without a word. He walked to the door and stopped. The sea remembers every drop of oil, and the Father remembers every broken name. He walked out into the busy street. Mateo shook his head and poured a drink. He checked the lock on his safe. Everything was exactly where it belonged. But his hands were shaking slightly now. He looked at his blue leather folder. It felt heavier than it did before. He ignored the feeling and started counting. Profit was the only language he knew. The shadows in the office grew long. Outside, the city of Manila roared. The foundation of his empire was set, but the cracks were already starting deep. He didn't see the storm coming yet. He only saw the rising price of fuel. Greed is a very quiet, hungry ghost. It eats the man from the inside. Mateo felt like a god in Makati. But gods of metal always eventually rust. It is now early 2026. Don Mateo's the king of Makati. His office sits on the 68th floor. He looks down at the tiny cars below. They look like ants to him. He just signed a massive government contract, 850 million pesos. This deal will power the entire island of Luzon. He feels like he owns the sun itself. His life is like a perfect Swiss watch. 5 in the morning, he is at the gym. He lifts heavy weights to feel his power. 8 in the morning, he leads the board. He speaks, and everyone else stays silent. 10 at night, he counts his profits alone. He carries his blue leather folder everywhere. It is his holy book and his shield. It holds titles to 12 massive oil tankers. It has secret account numbers for Panama banks. "I am the master of my fate," he says. He drinks expensive whiskey and smiles. The city lights twinkle like his own jewels. He can fix any problem with a transfer. He feels like a god in an expensive suit. One evening, the elevator door opens slowly. A man in a plain white shirt steps inside. He has dust on his simple leather sandals. His face is weathered by the Philippine sun. Mateo looks at his gold Rolex watch. He is annoyed by this simple, quiet man. "You are on the wrong floor," Mateo says. He adds a mocking laugh to his words. The man does not look away or blink. He has calm, deep eyes that see everything. "The floor is right, Mateo," the man says. "But your heart is in the dark basement." Mateo laughs and pulls out a bundle of bills. He thinks money solves every single human problem. "I can buy this whole building, stranger. Take this and go buy some better shoes." The man does not touch the dirty money. He looks at the blue leather folder instead. He gently touches the edge of the leather. "This paper is very heavy for one man. The sea is deeper than your bank account." Mateo feels a sudden, sharp, freezing chill. It is like ice in his very blood. He blinks, and the elevator is suddenly empty. The door opens to his private penthouse floor. He walks to his desk and sits down. The silence in the room is very heavy. He opens the folder to check his numbers. The totals are all there, perfect and high. But for a second, the ink looks like water. He shakes his head and rubs his eyes. "I am just tired," he whispers softly. He grips the folder tight against his ribs. It is his only comfort in the dark. He believes his wealth is a stone fortress. He thinks he is safe from any storm. But the air in the room feels thin. He looks at the photo of his first barge. He thinks he won the game of life. He does not know the sea is waiting. Power is a robe that hides a naked soul. It was a Tuesday night in the middle of the Habagat season. 40 nautical miles off the coast of Palawan, the sea began to boil. The wind howled like a wounded beast through the steel of the black gold. This was the strongest tropical storm to hit the islands in 5 years. Deep inside the engine room, a tiny vibration started in the fuel pump. It was a small sound, like a heartbeat that had lost its rhythm. For years, Mateo had ignored the warnings of his honest mechanics. "It will hold for one more trip," he always told his managers, but the sea does not care about profit margins or executive orders. The tiny vibration grew into a violent, metal-shredding scream. The fuel pump shattered and the massive engines coughed and died. Suddenly, the 40,000-ton giant was just a piece of floating junk. The high-tech GPS systems, worth $2 million, began to glitch. The screens flickered red and then turned completely black. In his cold, air-conditioned office in Makati, Don Mateo was sleeping. The phone rang at exactly 14 minutes past 2 in the morning. "Sir, we have lost power near the coral reefs," the captain whispered. Mateo sat up, his heart hammering against his expensive silk pajamas. "Restart it! Use the backup!" he screamed into the satellite phone. "The backup is gone, sir. The storm is pushing us toward the rocks. If the ship cracked on the reefs, the oil would swallow his entire empire. In one single hour, he would go from a billionaire to a bankrupt man." He looked out his window at the rain hitting the glass in Makati. He felt the walls of his fortress starting to crumble and fall. Suddenly, the heavy mahogany door of his office creaked open. The man in the white shirt stood there in the shadows. He did not say a word, but his presence filled the room. He walked slowly toward the window where the storm raged. He placed a hand on the cold glass and looked out. The wind seemed to soften for a single quiet heartbeat. "The oil is heavy, Mateo, but the soul is light." The stranger's voice was like a calm wave in a storm. Mateo's breathing slowed down as he stared at the man. For a second, the terror in his heart turned into wonder. Then the power in the building flickered and died. The king of oil was left alone in the total darkness. The darkness in the Makati office is thick and heavy. Don Mateo screams into his satellite phone once more. His voice is thin and full of raw terror. "I will pay 10 million pesos, he yells into the static. "Just get a tugboat to the black gold immediately!" But the voice on the other end is only noise. The Coast Guard says the storm is too strong. The Philippine Sea is angry and does not listen. The waves do not care about his massive bank account. His millions cannot buy a single minute of calm weather. The machine he built is crashing, and no amount of gold can stop the waves. If you believe that only God's hand can calm the storms of life, please like this video and subscribe. His money cannot bribe the wind to stop blowing. Mateo looks at the dark, wet office window. The rain hits the glass like thousands of small stones. He realizes his oil is useless against the wild wind. Oil is heavy, but it cannot anchor a drowning soul. The massive ship is drifting toward the sharp coral reefs, one tiny crack in the hull, and he is finished. The massive fines from the government will swallow him whole. The total loss of the cargo will erase his name. He feels his legs turn into water like the rain. He sinks into his expensive, cold Italian leather chair. The room is freezing, but he is sweating through his shirt. The blue ledger sits on the dark mahogany desk. For decades, it was his fortress and his only god. Now, it is just a stack of useless dead trees. The titles to the 12 tankers are just cold ink. The offshore accounts in Panama are just digital ghosts now. For 30 long years, he trusted the cold machine. Now, the machine has failed him when it matters most. He is just a frightened man in a dark room. He remembers the calm words of the simple stranger. "The sea is deeper than your bank account, Mateo." He feels like a small child lost in a forest. His vast wealth is just heavy metal waiting to sink. The bottom of the ocean waits for his pride. He stares at the black screen of his dead computer. The glowing numbers are all gone into the night. The power of man is only a flickering, weak light. He tries to breathe, but his chest feels very tight. The pride he once wore like a gold crown is gone. He is completely naked before the power of the storm. He waits for a miracle he knows he does not deserve. Heavy silence is the only answer he hears right now. The darkness feels like it has a physical weight. It presses against his tired eyes and his cold heart. He is at the mercy of the great Creator, but he does not even know how to pray anymore. The god of oil has finally run out of fuel. He is alone with his sins and the rising sea. It is exactly 3:30 in the morning in Makati. The storm is still screaming outside the office window. A loud crackle comes from the old emergency radio. It is a weak signal from the dark sea. Mayday! Mayday!
This is the fishing boat Maria Clara.
Mateo grabs the radio with both of his shaking hands.
This is Don Mateo. Can you hear me, Maria Clara?
We hear you, Don Mateo, a calm voice replies. It is Lito, the younger brother of the mechanic Elias. Mateo remembers mocking Elias yesterday at the busy pier. He feels a sharp sting of shame deep inside.
Lito, please, my ship is drifting to the sharp rocks. I will pay you millions to save my cargo.
There is a long, heavy silence on the radio. Only the sound of the wind fills the dark room. The stranger in the simple white shirt moves closer. He places a warm hand on Mateo's cold shoulder. His touch is steady and full of quiet power. Do not talk about the gold tonight, Mateo, he says. Talk to him as a brother, not a boss. Mateo looks at the stranger's calm, sun-darkened face. The tycoon swallows his pride like a heavy stone. Lito, please save my crew. They have young families. On the radio, Lito finally speaks again, very slowly. Don Mateo, we do not want your millions today. The sea does not accept checks or bank transfers. But we know these waters by our own hearts. There is a secret path through the hidden reefs. Our Lolo used it before the oil came here. The computers cannot see the way home tonight. Mateo's eyes fill with hot, salty, real tears now. He called these men useless only yesterday morning. Now his entire life depends on their small boat. Why would you help me after my cruel words? Because Elias asked us to pray for you, Don. The stranger in the white shirt smiles very gently. He picks up the radio and hands it to Mateo. Tell him you are ready to be led, Mateo. Mateo's voice breaks as he speaks into the microphone. I am ready. Please, lead us to the safety. Outside, the heavy clouds begin to shift and part. A small light appears on the Black Sea horizon. It is the lantern of a humble wooden banca. The stranger walks toward the door of the office. He stops and looks back at the broken tycoon. A shepherd knows the path better than any wolf. Mateo feels the blue folder slip to the floor. It lands with a dull thud in the darkness. He does not reach down to pick it up. He watches the tiny light moving on the water. It is the most beautiful thing he has seen. The useless people were now his only living hope. He thinks of his mother's old wooden prayer beads. He thinks of the cross Elias held so tightly. Salamat, Mateo whispers to the very empty room. But the room is not entirely empty just yet. A soft light lingers where the traveler once stood. The storm is far from over for the ship. But the storm inside Mateo is finally very quiet. He waits for the next word from Lito's boat. Follow our light, Black Gold. We are coming. The tycoon bows his head in the total silence. He is no longer a god of the city. He is just a man waiting for his brothers.
The fisherman's voice sounds like a true angel's song. No contract could ever buy this holy grace. Mateo closes his eyes and prays for the dawn. The silence is no longer cold or scary tonight. The ocean feels a little smaller to him now. God is in the radio waves and the salt. The king of oil has finally found a brother. He remembers how he used to treat these men. He would walk past them without a simple greeting. He thought their lives were just a waste of time. Now, their simple boat is his only bridge home. The stranger's words echo in his tired, heavy mind. Truth is the only light that never fades away. Mateo looks at his hands in the dark room. They are clean, but they feel very empty now. He had filled them with gold for many years, but gold cannot hold on to a human hand. He hears the rain slowing down on the glass. The wind is losing its sharp, angry, cold edge. "Lito, do you see the reefs?" Mateo asks. "We see them, Don. We are right there. Your crew is safe."
They are following us now. Mateo lets out a long, shaky, deep breath. He feels a weight leave his tired, old chest. It is the weight of 26 long years. He realizes that he was the one sinking. His ship was just a symbol of his soul. The stranger in white knew this all along. He came to save the man, not the oil. Mateo smiles for the first time in many years. It is a real smile, not a cold mask. The radio crackles one last time for the night. "Keep the faith, Don. Morning is coming soon." The wind outside is just a low whisper now. The Grand Makati office feels like a giant cold tomb. Mateo looks at the expensive paintings on his high walls. He spent millions on art he never truly enjoyed. In the shadows, they look like worthless gray trash. He remembers the calm face of Elias at the pier. The mechanic had nothing but a small wooden cross. Yet he had a piece that Mateo could not buy. Mateo reaches down for his heavy blue leather folder. His fingers are shaking as he opens the ledger. He looks for his balances and his secret codes. But a small piece of paper slips out suddenly. It is an old prayer card from his mother. She gave it to him 10 long years ago. He had laughed and tucked it away in shame. The edges are yellowed and worn by the years. It shows the image of Jesus, the Good Shepherd. The words at the bottom hit him like a hammer. "What does it profit a man to gain the world?" Mateo begins to cry, his shoulders shaking very hard. He realizes his oil was just a mask for pride. It made his heart slippery and cold as stone. He had built a fortress to keep people out, but he only succeeded in locking himself inside. The stranger in white had seen through his suit. He saw the hollow, starving man underneath the gold. Mateo thinks of the fishermen on the Maria Clara. They have no oil empires or Panama bank accounts, but they have the stars and they have God. They are the truly wealthy ones in this world. He picks up the radio with a broken hand. His voice is soft, like a child in the dark. "Lito, can you hear me? I am here." "I was wrong about the wood and the prayers. Please, guide us home. I am following your light." He holds the mother's card to his chest tightly. It feels heavier and more real than his gold. He is finally ready to let the ego die. The tycoon is gone. Only the man remains. He watches the tiny light on the dark water. It is a beacon of mercy in a cruel world. He finally understands that love is the only anchor. Without it, a massive ship is just a leaf. The silence is no longer a vacuum of fear. It is a space where God can finally speak. Mateo listens to the rhythm of his own heart. It beats for the first time with true purpose. He is ready to face the morning light. He is ready to start a different kind of life. The ledger stays open on the floor, forgotten. The numbers no longer mean a single thing. He is just a man waiting for his brothers. The morning sun is bright over Pier 15 today.
The storm has passed, and the sea is calm blue. The black gold sits safely at the concrete dock. It was saved by humble fishermen, not by millions. 1 month has passed since the night of great terror. Don Mateo walks through the crowd without a fancy suit. He wears a simple barong and loose cotton trousers. The cameras and the politicians are all gone now. He does not mind the quiet peace of the pier. He finds Elias working on a heavy, rusted engine. The old mechanic is covered in black grease and sweat. He starts to stand up to greet the big boss. Mateo stops him with a very gentle, firm hand. "Stay where you are, my dear brother," Mateo says. His voice is soft and lacks any old pride. The tycoon reaches into his pocket for a small box. He hands Elias a check for a new community clinic. "This is for the families of the coast," he says. "They saved more than just my metal ship that night. They saved a man who had lost his own way." Then Mateo holds out a small solid gold cross. It glitters beautifully in the hot white Manila sun. "Please take this for your grease-stained pocket, Elias. I was a fool to mock the wooden one you carried." Elias takes the gift with trembling, dark, hard-working hands. "Salamat, Don Mateo," Elias says with a soft smile. He sees the change in the rich man's eyes. The coldness is gone, replaced by a warm, deep light. A reporter runs up with a loud, noisy video camera. "Don Mateo, what about the next 1,000,000 barrels of oil?" "Are you afraid of the rising global fuel prices today?" Mateo looks at the sky and breathes the fresh salt air. He remembers the traveler in the simple white shirt. He remembers the touch that calmed his racing heart. "The oil is in the tank," Mateo says very clearly. "But the real captain is way up there in heaven." He walks away, feeling lighter than he ever has before. True dignity is found in service, not in heavy gold. The greatest miracle is a heart that finally opens wide. Life is a journey we simply cannot take all alone. God speaks in the quiet whispers of the gentle wind. The storm is over, and a beautiful new day begins now. Every decision we make is a chance to be better. Patience and mercy are the only treasures that last forever. If this story reminded you that God sees every heart, please support it with a like and subscribe to our channel. Write the word faith in the comments for His quiet mercy.